Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Neca Batman 1989 Michael Keaton 1/4 scale figure. Though truthfully, you're really only seeing to about Batman's chest. The rest of the figure certainly is way up at the top there, and Spot will do his best to try to get everything in camera as he did with the Adam West Batman, but unfortunately this figure, much like Adam West's Batman, is extremely large. The packaging, though, is really neat. I like that the packaging features really Batman's chest piece, complete with the new, well, with the 89 Batman logo, and his utility belt down below. On the side of the package, we see one of the images of the Batman figure. If you pan the camera back up, there's another image up at the top there. And spin around the back there. That is a good looking picture right there. Batman with his cape down. The one thing I really like, and you know, Spot was maybe a little hard on the Adam West Batman. The thing is, though, it's a big figure, and really it doesn't accommodate everybody's display pieces. Being at, what, 18 inches tall, it's a large figure. So I like that Neca's able to approach these licenses. Yes, I do wish that they could have been the 6-inch size instead of the, you know, the quarter scale that we're getting here. But it does take nothing away from what Neca is producing here. Neca's producing amazing pieces. I just kind of, again, wish they were a little bit smaller. But Spot's going to take himself a break, and we're going to get this opened up. When we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Michael Keaton 1/4 scale Batman figure. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So, just before we have a look at Batman himself, let's have a look at some of the accessories that Batman comes with. First, having a look at the Bat Grapple Gun. It's a nice piece. It's very similar, and Spot's not going to try to use the comparison a lot with this Batman and the Hot Toys piece, but the Grapple Gun shares very similar details to what you would get with a higher-end collectible. The Bat Grapple Gun does still remove into two components, and it still folds over via this little flap on the side, so you can have it into two pieces. Batman's utility belt does have a little clip. I can put this on in a second, but a little clip that goes onto the side utility belt, and the grapple gun, there's a little peg hole here. One side pegs into the clip here, and then this section right here, you'll see matches to the, we're just going to line it up like this, matches to the side of this clip. And like that, you can actually have both pieces of the grapple gun on Batman. And with that clip, you can clip the Bat Grapple Gun as well as the attachment on the side of his utility belt. A really nice touch. I don't know if I've got it on the right way, but certainly a nice touch, and you can have everything displayed on Batman. Other accessories that you get with Batman too, you get a Batarang, which is, I gotta say, very screen accurate, right down to the little metal tips at the very bottoms. The Batarang does fold, though you have to be a little cautious because these, let me just bring the camera in here, these basically clamp onto one another, these little side pieces, and if you're not careful when folding it, I've had one of them pop off, but they do fold. And this middle section folds in as well, so you get a fully folded Batarang. I think of the accessories, the Grapple Gun and Batarang are my two personal favorites. It's a surprise that they didn't give us more Grapple Gun attachments. The other accessory that they do give us, though, is this tri-tip grapple hook. It doesn't seem to have a section where it actually pegs into anywhere on the grapple gun, nor on the actual attachment. It just seems like it's a standalone piece. However, there is, right there at the very top there is a loop that you can take the supplied cord that came with Batman, and you can feed it through the grapple hook, and then you've got kind of a, I guess it's just a standalone piece that Batman can hold in his hand. So you get that as well. Rounding out the accessories, you also get a couple of Batman hands. One open hand, clearly to hold his grapple gun, and then 2 closed fists. Detailing on the fists are quite nice. He's got the gloves are quite shiny, and on the inside you can see the traction, I guess, that he had on his gloves. And lastly, on top of that, you also get a couple of rods. Now these rods actually feed through his cape, so you can take Batman from just having his cape down to having his cape up, getting something that looks like this. Really nice effect. And actually, by comparison to the Hot Toys was a lot harder of a piece to get any sort of movement in the shoulders, especially to get the arms up like this. But NECA's 1/4 scale figure, you can definitely get away with doing it. And the result is a beautiful looking piece. As for the likeness of Batman, I don't think it's too bad. It's not perfect. In fact, I would say the Adam West Batman looked a little more like Adam West than this looks like Michael Keaton. But I think detail-wise, it's pretty good. It's pretty good indeed. I, again, really wish that this particular figure was a 6-inch version of Michael Keaton and not so much an 18-inch. When you start looking at it from the side, it definitely has a look of Michael Keaton. When you start looking at it head-on, it looks a little off, but I think pretty good overall as a good-looking Michael Keaton face. Paint's good too as well, and the darker shading around the eyes, all there. Everything that Michael Keaton had, I mean, every detail that Michael Keaton had in the movie is here in the 1/4 scale Batman. And just to bring in the 1/6 scale Hot Toys Michael Keaton, you wanted to do a comparison between that and the 1/4 scale NECA figure so you could see the difference between the two. Similarities definitely are there. I would say NECA's sculpt work, I think, is a little grittier, a little rougher than the smoother design of the Hot Toys piece. But likeness-wise, they're not that far off from one another. And more argument really to be made for like the 1/4 scale NECA figures. The 1/4 scale NECA figures are about $100. When you start looking at the Hot Toys pieces, well, this Hot Toys 1/6 Batman was over $200. It was about $230, $240. Certainly getting it aftermarket now, he's a lot more expensive. So it goes to show that NECA is producing as high end of a piece as the Hot Toys on a scaled back level. It's just a shame though that the Batman here, the Michael Keaton Batman, is 18 inches and not the 12 inches that the Hot Toys Batman was. And for the same reason that NECA can't produce a 6-inch version of this figure, because that license is already to Mattel. Maybe the same thing could be said for why they can't produce a 12-inch version of this figure. This figure is decent, but it's just, again, big, and maybe they just can't produce a 12-inch version like the Hot Toys back there. Just further driving home the scale difference, I mean, again, there's a 12-inch Michael Keaton Hot Toys versus the 18-inch NECA piece. So once again, sizing becomes a bit of an issue. Displaying him also becomes an issue as well. You may not have a lot of space to accommodate an 18-inch Michael Keaton. Still a great figure, it's just really a lot of figure to be displayed. In the way of his articulation, well, he does live up to the fact that he's Michael Keaton. He can't move in the head. I mean, you can move him, but you're really only moving this section right here. You can't independently move the head, nor really should you have to. I mean, again, it's Michael Keaton Batman. Michael Keaton pretty much just turned at the torso, so it does very accurately recreate that with his articulation in the head. He does have articulation in the upper torso. Let me just bring the camera up here a bit. This whole section right here is a rubber piece, which we really haven't spent a lot of time and effort on. But this whole section right here is a rubber piece that's been applied to the torso. Same thing with the lower underoos, the lower torso section of Batman, is also a rubbery piece. So, I mean, with articulation, you can still move Batman underneath this section right here. There's a ball joint that still allows him to move up and down, left and right. You have to kind of be careful, though, with the Batarang, or the utility belt. Because the utility belt, I've had a couple of times where it gets stuck underneath this torso piece. So this torso piece, again, is just an adhered extra piece over top. Same thing when we flip the cape over. The cape also conceals the same thing with his back. His back has this extra rubbery piece, and you can see right there where that ball socket just sits on top. By the way, Batman's got some bat buns going there on there as well. He does have articulation, of course, in the legs. The legs go forward and back out. Not really too much front, in the front or back, but he does move them out. He does have a swivel in the thigh. Not the easiest, of course, to swivel. And then when we get down to the lower leg, the leg does bend, although it takes you a bit to kind of get it to bend first. It does rotate left and right. And then as for his foot does rotate back and forth. It pivots up and down, not really a lot, just because of this guard. The boot guard might be blocking a lot of that. And then, of course, when you get to the arms, just flip the cape over here. The arms do move out. He does have a rotation in the arm. He does have a bend also in the elbow, and rotation and bend in the hand section there. As I've mentioned already, this figure runs you about $100. If you were to find this in local comic book stores where I just happened to pick this guy up, he was $100. And for the size of the figure and for the sculpt and everything else, I would say it's worth it. Again, it's just a really big Batman, and displaying him, as I probably have sounded already like a broken record in this review, displaying him is not the easiest. You really have to accommodate a lot of space to display not only him, but a lot of the 1/4 scale figures that Neca is producing. The real crime is the fact that they just couldn't get the license to produce smaller scale figures, because having this Batman as a 6-inch figure would be gold. If they had produced a Batman line where they could have made Batman Returns, they could have done, Joker, Penguin, and all the characters that we've gotten from the Batman properties. It's just a shame that the property, if you ask me, was given to the wrong company. Batman looks really nice, and by comparison, it's a more cost-effective approach if you want to get the Cape Crusader. If you can't afford necessarily the higher-end scale pieces like Hot Toys, this is a great alternative. It's just really big once again. For that reason, I'm going to give Batman, really on a sculpt and everything else, I'm going to give Batman a 9. It's just a shame. Broken record again. It's just a shame he's just really tall. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the NECA 1/4 scale 1989 Michael Keaton Batman. Thanks for watching, as you always do, guys. Stay tuned. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.